Hi, I'm Andy Slater, Director of the M4 Stack team within Node4, and I'm joined today by April Edwards, a Cloud Advocate from Microsoft. Hi, April.
Hey, Andy. Thank you for having me. Really glad to be here.
My pleasure. So today we're going to talk a bit about Node4 and what we do in the M4 Stack team, and then we're going to talk a little bit later around different services we provide and go into a bit more detail.
Really cool. So we know you're a partner of Microsoft. Who is Node4? Where they come from? Who's N4 Stack?
The reason we exist really is to help customers fulfill their potential from an IT strategy perspective. And that really means delivering a range of services across kind of the spectrum really to help them fulfill their ambitions. I think to really understand Node4, you've got to go back into the history of what we do and how we came about as a company, and also the mix of people we've got within Node4. If you look at the whole, there's about 300 people that work in Node4, and the absolute majority of people are technical based.
Okay, great.
So that's got a really different dynamic, probably on a typical Microsoft MSP. So we're not really a big sales, commercial driven engine. And I think when Node4 set up in 2004, customers were demanding data centers. They had all their stuff, their servers, their applications in their own office. So Node4 being a kind of techie, geeky company back in 2004, we kind of put the hard hat on, the wellies, and went and built our own data centers. So that engineering, technical ethic and kind of center that we've got, we've kind of kept. And when we're moving into Azure, we're still a very hands-on, technical-driven company.
That's really good, because I think at Microsoft we have a lot of partners here in the UK, and a lot of them are more sales-focused or have certain technologies. What kind of technologies are you bringing to the table today with your data centers and also your cloud practice?
Yeah, I think we've got customers in probably two different modes. So the demands we get from customers, we've still got that data center appetite. So we've got customers who their ambitions are they've got maybe a legacy estate. And that means that they've only got a finite amount of IT resources and skills internally. That means that they need stability, they need reliability in that legacy estate, and then they've got a team of people that they need to use best to serve the company. So in that mode, what we see is people consolidating in our data centers and people outsourcing a lot of the kind of the maintenance tasks. So it frees them up to look at the applications, to the transformation. And then from the mode we then get into is helping them almost with like a conveyor belt of modernization into Azure. And we've got this kind of ability to then help them achieve their goals. The other type of customer is where we're coming in more from maybe a software vendor or someone that's gone through a lot more modernization, and they want cloud native services, approaches, and more modern approaches. So then we're very Azure centric, and we're delivering a lot of the kind of cool stuff and features within Azure for customers.
And we see a lot of customers going hybrid. You know, when we use the phrase on-premises, and for you guys that's in your data centers, and to them that's a cloud as well, just potentially a private hosted cloud, which is great to hear. Yeah. How do you guys handle that kind of cross-platforming? How do your team set up? What kind of technologies can you guys bring to the table for Microsoft and our partner landscape?
Yeah, well, if we've got a customer that's in our data centers and wants to move to Azure, there's a foundation of things we need to put in to make that transformation easier. So there's a couple of cool things. First of all, we need to think about what they're looking to get out of Azure. So we'll start off and we'll help them pick an adoption project. So where do we think the best application is out of their estate, so we can test the water, we can prove some grounding and give them a return on that move to Azure. And that really looks like making sure that existing estate is integrated properly into Azure, networking, authentication, and we've got a strong governance model. So when they move kind of left to right, we've got consistency of ability, and from a board perspective, we're not kind of creating a Wild West versus a really mature environment. And then, we help them with that foundation. So Microsoft term it, and we use the same term around a landing zone. And it is that ability to give a customer a platform that traverses both the old and the new, and they can tap, a range of AI services from Azure. That we're not going to train an algorithm around facial recognition. You need to go to Azure for that. But we're just facilitating that hybrid environment, and then we can just let the development teams move at a faster pace, and we're not creating two, separate entities.
And that's great. I think a lot of customers go into the cloud excited, ready to go, and they start deploying stuff, and they go, we have no governance, we have no management, and then they they don't know where to go from there. So it sounds like you guys have a service that can help customers have that governance, have the governance and the framework, and have a really good platform to be successful and have more of an enterprise-ready configuration. And I know we talked about the governance piece, which I think is fantastic, but what kind of skills are you guys bringing to the table?
Yeah, so the M4 Stack team was set up within Node4 to help with that modernization process. Okay. So a lot of Microsoft service providers that come from a data center background have taken the traditional practices into the cloud, and we wanted to make sure that we were looking at Azure through cloud native eyes. So what does that mean in terms of skills? We've got two kind of big pots of skills. So first and foremost, we've got the Azure engineering team, and we're very DevOps focused. So that means we're looking at using, in terms of the way we build and operate Azure, we're trying to do it in a more infrastructure as code model. So what does that mean? That means you need automation skills. It needs to mean we think about containerization to give us more portability of applications. And then obviously we've got a really in-depth capability in terms of understanding Azure, the services, and how to get the best out of an operating model on Azure. And then on the other side, not on the other side, but within the M4 Stack team, we've got a team of data specialists.
Okay, great. And
that's really important, because to get a really great return out of a move to Azure, there's a superb ability to get the most out of your data in an organization, and the tooling within Azure is brilliant. So the data team brings skills across, obviously, the in terms of moving customers from legacy database environments into Azure SQL, and then the modern data warehouse is a really kind of growing theme that we see with customers, where we're looking to leverage the services within Azure to get that more greater intelligence out of customers' data.
Cool. It really sounds like you have a full end-to-end offering. Could you just give me a high-level overview of the types of services? So I know you guys are a data center provider. I believe you have some connectivity capability. Could you just walk me through just each of those into the data platform? Because it really sounds like you have everything from connectivity from outside the data center into the platforms, the services, and everything into Azure. It sounds really cool.
Yeah, and so if we're looking at this through a Microsoft platform eyes, so one of the first bits that we've got, that connectivity piece is super important. Yes. And that means that we can provide connectivity through express route connections, and that can be from our data centers or into our customers. But then we've got other connectivity that we can plug into that express route. Cool. A good example is healthcare. So HSCN is something we're accredited to deliver. We get a lot of software companies who want to use the Azure platform to deliver their SaaS services, but also need to plug into the NHS.
Yes, that's
critical. And that means you need a hybrid model, but it also means you need a hybrid model with governance as well, because you can't just connect, Azure straight into the NHS. So that connectivity piece is key. And then from a communications perspective, we've been providing, SIP trunks and call solutions for a long time, and that now all integrates with the Office 365 and Teams and that. So
really cool.
So that's valuable.
So we can speed up a customer's connectivity, get them compliant as well with things like healthcare and different organizations across the UK.
Yeah, exactly. And then moving obviously through the Office 365 and Microsoft 365, that ability to then use the M365 capabilities to drive Azure governance is really important, because you're looking at identity management, conditional access, and it all fits together perfectly. So for customers within Azure, then we've got a very flexible model. Will help customers at a tenant level with governance, security, connectivity, but then it's all about what the customer builds from an application perspective within Azure, and we kind of think about it as us being a kind of a volume dial in terms of what's the project, what's the application, and what level of services we want to deliver to a customer or a customer needs from us.
Absolutely.
If it's a web-based application that's in production, they probably want us to help out on a 24/7 basis. Right. But then from a DevOps side of things, how do they leverage the platform for test, staging? They don't want that sat there. They want it automating. They want CI/CD pipelines built in. So that whole, ecosystem of what skills does the customer need to deliver a really great dividend from Azure, we feel that we can really elevate what a customer's already got and take them, fill the gaps and take them on that journey.
That sounds really good. I think customers are really going to be set up for success with you guys. You kind of have the connectivity piece, the authentication piece to the application stack, to the data stack, which is great, which we need in Azure because we have so many different offerings. And it sounds like you have the governance, the management, kind of like a managed service overlay on it as well, and then the whole DevOps lifecycle, which is what every customer wants right now.
Yeah.
That's really great.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, thank you for walking me through that. That was fantastic.
Thanks, April.
Thank you.